Hi, so this is my look at my comic haul from this Saturday. So I'm going to start with my first DNF Did Not Finish title of 2024, and that's Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider. I was surprised by this because I like Stephanie Phillips. I think she's a really solid writer. I sang her praises when she was on Harley Quinn. I love Grimm, what she does on Boom. But yeah, I did not finish this. First of all, the paper stock of the cover, it's like tissue paper. I hadn't touched the cover, but it's got creases all the way down the front. But the thing that made me really stop reading it was the weird artwork. The reason I say it's weird, there's no shadows or shading on the artwork. All the heavy lifting for the art is done by the colourist, and it just looks weird and unfinished. I really do not like this artwork. It looks like a webtoon comic, but a bad one, because even they have more depth in the art style. Yeah, all the shading is done by the colourist, and it just looks really weird. I don't like it. Like this weird airbrush like splodges for where there's meant to be shadow. It's lazy. I don't know if they did it because they're on a tight time schedule, but I couldn't finish it. I read about the first 10 pages and the dialogue was just like, do I want to waste 15-20 minutes reading a comic what I'm really not enjoying? It just felt clunky. It just felt like a do-it-yourself Spider Family comic. Insert Spider Family name here and take it from there. Yeah, not impressed. I'm not going to give it a mark because I didn't finish it. It could have improved, but I gave up after 7 pages. Like I said, the colouring and the artwork just put me off straight away. I don't mind modern art styles at all, but at least have some depth to your artwork. There is no, like I said, there's no shadow on it at all. I'm looking at it here now. Not one bit of shading or shadowing done by the artist itself. Everything is done by the colourist. Just lazy. Yeah, that's. So, that's the only bit of negative review. Negative in a way, because I'm not going to give it a mark because it's not fair to do that. So let's move on to the ones that I did read. So, Scene of the Stars with Marvel, Carrying Marvel, and one which I will sing its praises of because it's my favourite Spider-Man comic in a long, long time, is The Spectacular Spider-Man. We're on issue 3 now, so it's by Greg Weisman, who was creator of Gargoyles, and artwork by Humberto Ramos on the pencils, who's the inking, and the inker is Victor Olazaba, who I'm not familiar with at all. But yeah, solid as per usual. Humberto Ramos arts. He's one of my favourite Spider artists. This is what a Spider comic should be. He nails perfectly the voice of both Miles Morales and Peter Parker. It's a great buddy, kind of like buddy cop, kind of like comic. There's elements of humour. It's warm. It feels warm. It feels like having a nice warm cuddle with it. I don't mind comics being light. And I always like fluff. If there's something in that draws you up and just makes you feel good. And yeah, this is, and it builds up all the loose ends now kind of connected. You kind of go, oh, so that's why there's all these random occurrences in the pages. Yeah, I'm all for it. I don't want to give much of the story away because if I do, it ruins the whole build-up of the plots and why there's all these like so-called disconnected elements in it. Because like I said, the final few pages, you think, okay, so that's why that was happening. But I'll give this a solid 8 out of 10. And let's see, do I have any more Marvel? Yes, I do. And another one I'm going to give a good rave up is Ghost Rider Final Vengeance. I was not going to get this comic. I was one of those saying, ooh, it's the hood, how can it be good? They're ruining it. But I found the first Ghost Rider series by the same writer, Benjamin Percy, a bit dull, a bit safe, a bit sanitary. But I think Marvel's given him a bit more leeway in this one. And in a way, it works having the hood as the inheritor of the Ghost Rider spirit. It makes it much more brutal. He still ekes out justice, but for his own means. And the demon, is it Sabatos or whatever he's called, is really happy having this vessel who has no qualms about killing. So it's basically Ghost Rider unleashed. There is nothing to hold him back anymore. But it's still the backstory with is it Johnny Blaze? Yeah, not Johnny Blaze. Is it Johnny Blaze? No. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the original Ghost Rider, anyway. And the artwork, I didn't like the first 2 issues that much because of the colouring. Again, colorists they can affect comic, but he seems to have calmed down a bit on the moulding of the figures, so it doesn't look as 90s anymore. And in a way, the art is like a curious blend of John Romita Jr. and is it Victor Bogdanov, the one who did Wolverine for a bit, and like a bit of Tom McFarlane going in, and Greg Capullo. It's a bit more. He seems to have relaxed in his inks and pencils now, and it flows quite a lot better. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. It's a good, very quite hardline horror / mystery superhero comic, and yeah, 8 out of 10. So 2 Marvel comics I'm enjoying. That's not too bad for me. So let's move on to the, as they say, distinguished competition. And we'll start with Titans. I stopped this for a bit to give Ultimate Spider-Man and the few Ultimate titles a bit of breathing space if you like them, but I've come back to it now because I wasn't impressed with Ultimate Spider-Man 4. And it's working better now for me. Even though I like Nicholas Scott, I don't like how all the faces look the same. So there's a new artist on it now, and it's Lucas Meyer. Yeah, Lucas Meyer, and he's got a very nice style, very different to Nicholas Scott, but got that same kind of like what I call serious superhero art style, where it's less cartoonish than some of the modern superhero artists. But what I love is this as well. This is Dick Grayson's Mind Palace, so it's kind of like a bit of a piss take on Zero and R, whereas Zero and R is all about violence. So this one's not. It's just like how Sherlock uses his mind palace to work out problems and theories. And I like how they've got the outline of Dick Grayson's head round here, and he's having this conversation with himself in the panels inside the heads. And there's a new character introduced who initially you think, oh, they're going to be a superhero, and they end up being a new protagonist, a new antagonist for the Titans. The artwork's just so pleasing. And yeah, it works. This is the new character, and it ties in organically into the Absolute Power event, what's going to be coming up. I love how DC's done this. Actually, I'm not a big fan of events at all, but if you're going to do it, at least do it organically, where it doesn't feel like it's just dumped on you on the doorstep and you've got to deal with it. So yeah, so there's this mystery of this girl. Who is she? How did she get all these powers? Some of it's explained in here, and you see who's doing machinations in the background for it. And I love this Chris Samney cover as well. And it's a good, solid Titans book. One of my favourite comics of all time is New Teen Titans by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, and also Eduardo Barato when he came on, and Romeo Tangal and people like that. And this is getting there. Tom Taylor's writing on this is solid. I've given up on Nightwing. Might get it collected because I didn't like all the backups and thought it got a bit flabby. But Titans, I'm really, really enjoying. Yeah, 9 out of 10. Just a good, fun superhero title that toes line between that. As an adult fan of the old Titans, it ticks a lot of boxes. I like he knows the characters, and yeah, very, very satisfying read. So talk about events, we've got House of Brainiac, and this is number 4, and this is the Superman issue, number 14. I love that cover. So it's still got the same team of Williamson and Sandoval on the artwork, so it ticks all the boxes that you want. There's a big brawl out knockout fight with Lobo and Superman. I'm going to show those pages, but I don't want to show much of the later pages. Oh, and I love how Vril Dox is coming, because I was a big fan of Legion 8990, and I hope maybe it's a hint that they might get, if not Legion of Superheroes, another Legion 24 comic. But I love how they brought him in. It's a good Superman story. It's a good Superman epic. Superman works well in an epic storyline, but it's epic without being I like Philip Kennedy Johnson, but I thought like the Warworld story went on by too long, by about 7 issues. It could have wrapped up a lot earlier. This is how and it should be. It's done in 3 months, and they've got the same writer on it. Great art by Sandoval, and the twist at the end in this, it's good. It's a very, very good twist, and you feel rewarded for reading the comic. It's just very satisfying. Good superheroes, and it's 9 out of 10. Now, this might surprise people. World's Finest 27. That cover is brilliant. The artwork is just beautiful. Done more artwork. So it's this whole mites war. What's going on? So you've got Mr. Mxpickalick and Batmite and all the other mites, including the supervillains mites, coming invading our world, and a lot of crazy shit basically happens. There's a really good bit with Jimmy Olsen, but I'm not getting from World's Finest what a lot of people are getting from it. For me as a reader, I've lived through the 70s and 80s and 90s of comics, so I don't need the retro fanboy pleasing fan service what a lot of modern comics are doing. Local Man I love and enjoy, but up to a point, some of it I'm like, can we just steer away from the 90s stuff and just focus on now? And this one I'm getting from this, it's just dwelling too much on like pre-crisis superhero comic vibes, and I want to like it more, but I think it's more style over substance. I don't think there's a lot of depth to this. People say, oh, but it's just a fun comic. Yeah, fine, but I want more to it. Maybe it's because I'm an English comic reader, and I'm used to things like 2000 AD and the British invasion in comics, Warrior magazine, so I want a bit more to chew on in my comics, even if it's a superhero comic, and I'm not getting it with this. So I'll give this art 10 out of 10, story 6 out of 10. So this is like this at the moment, because there's the Elseworld series coming out soon, so from a budget I might be shelving this for a bit and just see, maybe just need some time away. My final DC comic is Hellblazer, John Constantine, or Constantine as the Americans say, Dead in America, number 5. Apparently this is now 11 issues. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it becomes an ongoing, because originally it was meant to be an 8 or 9 issue comic. So this is a bit of a departure from the ongoing storyline. It's kind of like a pause in the middle of the story. So they're still on the bus, still travelling through America, but it's a series of short stories. So there's prologue and epilogue by Cy Spurrier and Aaron Campbell, the regular team, and then there's a short a story by Simon Spurrier with Kelsey Ramsey on art, and then a one-way ticket with Aaron Campbell doing the writing, not the art, and John Pearson on art, and then Suckers by Cy Spurrier and John McCrae, an artist. I love John McCrae. His new style, especially the new scratchy style, what he's got, it's so good. I'd love for him to do an ongoing horror comic. But even though it's a series of vignettes within the ongoing series, it ties together, it's cohesive, it's like a nice little break, it feels like a little coffee break, and it just fills out the depth of where they're in, the weirdness of America. And I think it's needed for this story, because the past 4 issues are quite dense story-wise. There's a lot to dissect and take on board, and this gives the readers as well as the team, I think, a bit of breathing space to let the story just breathe a bit, and just to show a bit of the wider perspective of the story. And yeah, I'd give this a 9 out of 10, but I will give it an 8 out of 10 because of it just being a briefer issue, but it's still very satisfactory. And even though all the artists are very different in style, it kind of ties together. I love that McCrae panel just there, that's superb. So yeah, it's a solid comic still, 8 out of 10. I'm going to carry on with it, like I said, fingers crossed, let it be an ongoing. I do tell a lie, there's one final DC comic, and it's this gorgeous beast. So it's Batman First Night, book 3. This is one of the most beautiful and fun comics I've read in 2024. So it's got really fun, noirish, radio serial, 1994's radio serial writing from Dan Jurgens. You can picture it being like the old Shadow radio series from the 30s and 40s if you close your eyes. It's just a fun, beautiful comic, and gorgeous artwork by Mike Perkins and beautiful colouring by Mike Spicer. It suits the large European album style format of Black Label. It's 3 issues, so it's not a huge investment to make. But boy, was this a fun ride. It's got the peppy, hey you guys, kind of feel of the old gangster movies from the 30s and 40s. Even it's one of those few occasions where the cover isn't the highlight. The art inside is just as good as the cover because it's by the same team, so you know what you're going to get. And I love how they have the description on the back as well. It wraps up for 3 issues, very satisfactory. The whole mystery of the Monster Men is sorted out, who they are, why they are, and who's the brains behind it all. But it leaves it open that there could be more adventures of this iteration of Batman, and I really hope there is, because this left me wanting more. 9 out of 10. This is my favourite DC comic of the week. Absolutely superb. But is it my favourite comic? We shall see. So, talk about Local Man. We've got Local Man number 10 from Image. This moves the story on a bit. I feel like it can meander sometimes, this comic. It's very clever, but sometimes its cleverness can be its undoing at times. It's that fine balance of superhero revisionism and superhero retro tribute. What am I talking about? I do like that cover. I hate this cover. I've no affection for 90s superheroes. I was a Vertigo girl in the 90s. I hated the 90s superheroes. I really did. So it doesn't have that same charm for me. So I'm not keen on the backups. I kind of like skim read them. But the main story, still fun, and it moves the story on. It jumps ahead. There's like a time jump by 6 months. So the story is getting fleshed out. It's a good superhero noir crime thriller mystery. And yeah, still good, but not as good as it was, I don't think. But I have faith in Tony Fleecs and Tim Seeley. They are solid creators. And if we look at the comic as a whole series, it's a 9 out of 10. But this issue I give 7.58 out of 10. But yeah, it's still good. And it's moving on with the mystery of what's going on. Nothing is as it seems, and there's weird things now. After a 6-month break, he comes back to his hometown, and there's weird things going on in the hometown. It's like Stepford Wives kind of vibes. So yeah, I do recommend that. And one that I didn't think I'd carry on with, I thought they'd stop putting it in my pull box. So I got issue 2 last month via a 50% off offer online, and I thought, is that alright? But it was in my pull box this week, so I thought, okay, it's cheap. I don't know what it is. I keep coming back to it. It's got lovely art by I always get his name wrong. Szymon Kudranski. Beautiful, beautiful art. And the plot is okay. It's fun. It's very cheesy, very 90s. It's stuffing its caps to stuff like Seven and crime thrillers of that ilk. But you can tell it's McFarlane writing it. He's a bit clunky in his dialogue. He's a bit of a Stanley where he thinks more is you need more dialogue than less, and sometimes just let the picture speak. But apart from, I love that cover. Apart from that, I'm still having fun with it. It's nowhere near the best comic. It'll never win an Eisner. But it's cheap and cheerful, and that's what you need. And I guess because I'd rather spend a few quid on this than something like Spider-Gwen. At least I'm getting entertained with this. It's not a chore. The art's good. Solid cardstock cover. So 7 out of 10. Who knew it? I'm not a Tom McFarlane fan at all, but I'm enjoying what to do with Sam and Switch. But this comic, oh my god, Rook Exodus number 2. Cardstock cover again, $3.99. Jason Fabok is doing the artwork of his life in here. Solid story by Jeff Johns, but the art is the star of this comic. So it's continuing this storyline of where Earth's moved over to this other planet, and he'll have these helms and makes him an avatar for different creatures. So he's Rook, he controls crows, I think she controls wolves. And so it develops on the mystery of what happened last issue to his friend, and there's a big bad now, and yeah. I don't want to tell you much more than that. You need to read it. There's only 2 issues, so you can still buy them because they've reprinted issue 1. and you will not be sorry. Ghost Machine, I think, is one of the most exciting universes that's come out in a long time. For me, if I get bogged down, if this doesn't have a lot of Ghost Machines, but I think what I'm going to do is do these about 6 issues, have a break for these titles, and then break up another block of 5 and do it that way. So I can cope with that. But if they bring out more, I'll just stop on my Marvel and some DC and make way, so I've got room for these. But yeah, 10 out of 10 issue of the month, of the week. But close contender, this was nearly a 10 out of 10, was First Night. So those are my 2 favourite comics of the week. Hope you enjoyed this. I might do a look at the new #1s coming out from DC, Marvel and Image, but I might change it, because the reason being, Marvel for August has done a shitload of comics, and it's just too many to go through. So I'm going to cherry pick and pick out the ones that I want, and hopefully you do as well. So I'm going to highlight my tasty treats instead. It's going to change a bit, because it killed me last time when I did the Marvel section of the new titles coming out a few months in advance. So I want to make it enjoyable for me as well as for you, and just streamline it a bit. Okay, so I might do that later. See how I feel. Okay, bye.